In this video, there's an amazing, huge bull with a beautiful tattoo, and I'm going to show you the differences between trimming bulls and trimming cows' feet. What are the differences? Are there any? What do you need to be careful of? And what do you not need to think about? If you enjoy these videos or they interest you at all, consider subscribing so that YouTube lets you know when there's a new video. And enjoy the rest of the video, guys. Cheers! Go on. Go on. Come on, big guy, go! Look what he's got on his shoulder, look. See the love heart? How awesome is that? Come on, big guy, come on! So this bull is actually about 8 years old, and I see him once a year because his feet, he kind of struggles on them. But as soon as we trim him up, farmer says he goes great again. That love heart on his shoulder is actually a Fries brand from the farm that he's from. It's kind of a marketing idea actually, which works really well because everybody recognises it. So now the bull's inside, you can see how big he actually is. He's seriously big. Are you wanting this gate open? This is the kind of most awkward and tense part of when you're moving a bull. You just want him to go straight in, no hassles. We don't want to push him too hard. Don't want to hurt him, don't want to get ourselves hurt. We're just praying that he goes in easily. And in this case, he does! That went a lot better than I thought it would. I thought it was gonna. His name on the right. So I'm going to speed this up a fair bit because trimming bulls' feet takes forever. The main differences are obvious. Bulls are much bigger, much heavier than cows, and as such their feet are a lot wider. So from side to side is usually about 10 mil wider on each claw. The length of them actually remains about the same, so the bone structure is about the same as a cow's. On this bull, for instance, we're going to trim the toe length to about 85 millimeters. If he was smaller, it would be anything down to 75 millimeters. And the width, obviously, we don't normally measure. So we'll measure that toe 85 millimeters, trim it back, and then reduce the weight so that it's about the same as the interior claw or the medial claw. And this bull's actually got a cut right up the outside of that foot, but it's not too bad, so we're just going to douse it with iodine and he'll be good to go. Okay, this next claw is the one that we'll kind of focus on. So as you can see straight away, the outer claw, so the lateral claw, is much bigger than the medial claw or the inner claw. So I mentioned the lengths remain about the same between bulls and cows, but what does differ is you need to be much more careful what you take away. Because the bulls are so much heavier and so much more force is going through their feet, we need to leave them with as much sort of impact zone as possible. So although this bull's clearly got a very deep kind of cut or gash right up the middle of his foot, we're not going to pare it away as much as we would in a cow, because if we did, it would leave him really susceptible to more pain and more trauma in that area. So we're reducing the height as much as we can to try and get it down, but make sure the horn doesn't go soft. If it starts to go soft at all, then we'll stop straight away. That little bit of blood is from a white line crack, and I've just nicked the corium slightly when I've been taking it back. It's nothing to worry about, and we're going to put a block on the interior claw anyway, so that'll clear that up, and it'll take the pressure off that really big crack, which is the real issue for this big guy. There you can see I'm pressing and prodding and poking to see if I can take any more off. I would like to take it down as far as I can, but again, without overly compromising his foot, so we don't want to hurt him any further. This block that I'm going to use is different from usual. It's actually a shoe, so it encapsulates the foot. Why use it on the bull? Well, bulls, again, they're so heavy, they can lose their blocks really easily, and this guy is going to benefit massively from a block, lifting up that sore outer claw off the ground and giving him some proper pain relief, so we don't want the block to come off at all. Again, blow touch the foot so it just dries nicely. It's not going to hurt him at all. He won't even feel the heat through that claw. I've mixed the glue and I've actually removed the inside of that shoe. So normally the side that you can see there would be black as well, but it's not because I've cut it away. So we've mixed the glue together, place that block on. As you can see, we've reduced the height of that lateral claw as much as possible, but we've not softened it. So he's going to get a lot of pain relief through there being less weight on that actual foot. Okay, onward to the front right foot. So same again, when you're trimming bulls, the length remains the same as a standard cow. The width is obviously going to determine itself because you can't reduce that. So reduce the length to 75mm or 85mm depending on the size of the bull. Then make sure both claws are level. The outer claw on this front guy's foot was actually oversized, which is normally the inner claw, so it's slightly different on this one. And now you can actually see why it's slightly oversized. He's got a sand crack right up the front dorsal wall of his foot. So where you can see that gouge out of the toe area, there's actually a crack that runs vertically right up that toe, and I've had to take all the loose horn away from it. But he's not lame on it, he's not too sore on it, so we're not going to have to apply a block or anything. We've just reduced the weight, removed all the loose horn, and he should be feeling much better just from this simple trim. We don't model him quite as much as we would with cow because, again, I want as much weight bearing surface there as possible. I want as much sole there as possible to spread the weight to reduce those white line cracks. On the front left now, and again, there's very little wrong with this one. Just reduce the weight on both claws to make sure that they're completely level. Reduce the length so that it's between 75 and 85mm, and he's good to go. So to surmise, when you're trimming bulls, everything remains the same. So all of the measurements remain the same. So the standard trim would be 75mm. If it's a bigger bull, a taller bull I mean, you'd leave the toe longer. So anything up to 85mm. Running from the hairline, so where the horn actually starts growing at the top of the foot, right down to the toe. So you cut it back to 75 or up to 85mm. Reduce the height at the toe to make sure that it's nice and stable, and then on the back claws reduce the lateral claw so that it matches the inner claw or the medial claw. Then if there's any problems, take away the loose horn, any cracks, take away them, model the bull out, but we don't do too extreme a model because we want to leave as much cushioning and as much surface in contact with the ground as possible to make it as comfortable as possible. If there are lesions, we don't dig out the lesions quite as much as you would with a cow, because if you leave them open at all, the bull will really feel pain from that. Because of this massive weight that's going through this foot, any crack or deviation or anything like that is really going to become apparent. It's going to get much worse than it would in a cow because of the extreme weight. So when it comes to bulls, yes, we do trim them slightly differently because we leave as much weight bearing surface and as much of the surface of the sole and the white line or outer edge horn or outer wall horn in contact with the ground, because we want to spread that weight as much and as evenly as possible across the entire foot. Anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. Smash subscribe and hit the like button. Cheers guys.
I know, nobody was trimming.